So, hey, I'm going to be talking about the FBI, these text messages, and this FISA memo that you may have heard about, but I will tell you about it if you haven't. But I'm going to start off in something that seems a little bit off topic for just a minute, because so much, there is not, I think I said this recently, but I'll say it again, there's not one important right-winger trying to silence anybody on the left. You never hear this from the right. You never hear anybody saying that person should be shut down, that person should be taken off the air, that person should be banned from Google or Twitter. You never hear anybody on the right saying that. But the left, it is all they do. They silence, Ben when he goes to a university. They silence him with mobs. They silence people by, banning them, shadow banning them on Twitter. Google just got rid of its policy of fact checking, which they were only using on conservatives like us at the Daily Wire, and they dropped that. Good for them. But, the effort is always to silence one side. And one of the most important ways they silence us is by using identity to replace ideas. And, what I want to start off with is Guy Benson, who is, what does he do? Town Hall, right? I just want to make sure I got his right venue. He is contributor of Fox News, townhall.com. That is. So he did something for our friends at Prager University, where he talked about the fact that Guy is gay. And here he put it in perspective. Just listen to the opening of this, because it really is smart and sharp.
I'm a Christian, a patriotic American, and a free market, shrink the government conservative, who also happens to be gay. What I mean by that is, my values define me, while my sexual orientation sometimes feels more like, well, a footnote. Literally, in fact. I came out as gay in a footnote in my book, end of discussion. When it comes to my political beliefs, my orientation is only one part of the story. It's not the totality of who I am. Some unimaginative leftists like to claim that this qualifies me as a self-hating gay person. This is so boring. That intellectual laziness only underscores my point. Far too often, people are sorted by their gender, or their skin color, or their sexual orientation, or any other immutable characteristic that has nothing to do with ideas or values.
So go to PragerU and watch the whole thing, because it's really a good video from Guy. And the thing about it is this is purposeful. Think about this for a minute. Good things are always harder than bad things, right? It's always easy to go down the slide into perdition, but it's always hard to climb up the mountain to the peak, right? Identity is easy, and this is true whether you're on the right or the left. Identity is easy. Ideas are hard. When a gay guy who's a fascist goes and sues some poor baker because he won't serve his wedding and he's a Christian and tries to drive him out of business essentially for his religion, and people say, those gays. It's not those gays, it's those ideas. It's those ideas, because there are plenty of gays who think that's disgusting, as I think it's disgusting, and there are plenty of gays who don't think that. It's easy to say, the gays, it's easy to say, the blacks, the black. It's the ideas. It's always the ideas. It is always the ideas that define what people are. Why does the left use identity to shut down ideas? They use identity to shut down ideas because their ideas are wrong. So if you say your idea is wrong, you say, well, you're just saying that because I'm a woman. You're just saying that because I'm black. This is what they do. And the reason I link this to what's happening at the Justice Department is the entire story of the Barack Obama administration was a man with bad ideas. He was an arrogant little fool with bad ideas who was so arrogant he didn't know how bad his ideas were and couldn't learn. You walked into a room with him, I'm told, by people who knew him, and he did nothing but lecture you about how wrong you were and how things really were. His ideas were wrong, but nobody would touch him because he was black. He was the first black president. You know how online they put TM next to things, trademark, it's like first black president, TM. And everybody, including me, did not want to see the first black president fail, but he did fail. And he failed not because he was black, he failed because of his ideas. But more than that, more important than that, he was corrupt. And the thing about Obama is I don't believe he was personally corrupt, like give me the money and I'll do a favor, like Hillary Clinton, I think is money corrupt. I think he was corrupt in the sense that he thought his ideas were more important than the process by which we preserve our freedom, the constitutional process by which we preserve our freedom. He was constantly making speeches about what he couldn't do. I can't just have an executive order to let the illegal immigrants stay and give them amnesty because that would be against the Constitution. Then he'd do it. Because he realized over time, like Henry VIII realized over time how powerful he was, Obama realized over time that he could do virtually anything, including strangle Michelle in the Rose Garden, and the press wouldn't touch him because he was black. So he realized the ideas didn't matter, and he could do anything he wanted. And he stacked, especially the Justice Department, but also the IRS. He stacked the important agencies of government with his pals. Remember, Eric Holder, the Attorney General, said, "I'm his wingman." Not I'm the chief law officer in the country, sworn to uphold the law. I'm the president's wingman, and I'm going to protect him. And Loretta Lynch, or as I call her, blandly corrupt Loretta Lynch, was the same way. So now, after, the House Intelligence Committee has been, all these committees in Congress have been studying this Russia collusion thing. And the Russia collusion thing more and more looks like a complete boondoggle, exactly what President Trump said it was. It looks like a way of getting back at him for winning the election, but also of hampering the new president who they didn't expect, because Obama had so corrupted the Justice Department and the FBI that they didn't think they'd get caught because they were sure Hillary was going to win. And when Trump won, they thought, we've got to devalue him. We've got to delegitimize him before he exposes what we've done. And by the way, I just want to pause for a minute and say my heart goes out to all those honest FBI agents, and I'll bet there are a lot of them. I'll bet some of them are Democrats, some of them are Republicans, who just want to capture bad guys. They're working in bureaus across the country. They're all over the place. They're just trying to do their job. They don't corrupt those guys so much. What they do is they corrupt the people at the top, and that just corrupts the entire agency. And suddenly you're trying to do your job and you're working for this completely politicized agency. So after months of hammering the Justice Department for information, the FBI sends over thousands of text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, these two FBI people. Strzok was involved in the Russian investigation and the Hillary Clinton investigation, and they were having an adulterous affair. And they're sending these text messages back at such an incredible rate. It was about 70 a day. It was about 70 text messages a day, right? And they send them over, but they send them over with a note saying they had failed to preserve the messages between these two between December 14th and May 17th, December 14th, 2016 and May 17th, 2017. So think about that for a minute. And by the way, I should mention that Byron York at the Washington Examiner is doing a fantastic job of covering this and keeping it up front and center and just giving the information. But think about that. That is when all this stuff happened. That's after the election, and as Trump takes power, and as the Russian thing begins, and as Comey is being fired. Remember, and Comey is then engineering the appointment of Robert Mueller to be an investigator. That's the stuff that has vanished, okay? But in it, there is some telling stuff. That in the email, text messages they've got, there's some telling stuff. But before we get to that, I just want to go back and play. Have I got Obama? Yes. This is cut number 10. This is Obama when they were investigating Hillary's emails, promising in this blandly corrupt way that his administration really mastered, promising that the investigation was going to be on the up and up.
Can you guarantee to the American people, can you direct the Justice Department to say Hillary Clinton will be treated as the evidence goes, she will not be in any way protected?
I guarantee that there is no political influence in any investigation conducted by the Justice Department or the FBI, not just in this case, but in any case.
And she will be,
full stop, period.
And she will be treated no differently.
Guaranteed, full stop.
No political, nothing, nothing. Okay, now we have blandly sinister Attorney General Loretta Lynch, right? And she has a meeting. She has a meeting on a tarmac, a secret meeting with Bill Clinton, the husband of the woman being investigated by her people, by the FBI. And she says, oh, that didn't matter. We're just talking about our grandchildren. That's all we're talking about. And she comes out, and pay attention to this. This is July 1st, right? This is on July 1st. She comes out and she says, whatever the FBI says, this tarmac meeting meant nothing. Whatever the FBI says, that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow the law. This is cut number 7.
As I've always indicated, the matter is being handled by career agents and investigators with the Department of Justice. They've had it since the beginning. They are independent.
Which predates your tenure as Attorney General.
It predates my tenure as Attorney General. It is the same team, and they are acting independently. They follow the law. They follow the facts. That team will make findings. That is to say, they will come up with a chronology of what happened, the factual scenario. They will make recommendations as to how to resolve what those facts lead to. The recommendations will be reviewed by career supervisors in the Department of Justice and in the FBI, and by the FBI director. And then, as is the common process, they present it to me, and I fully expect to accept their recommendations.
Okay, so that was probably the day before July 1st. So then on July 1st, Strzok sends a text message to his lover saying, this announcement looks like hell. And Loretta Lynch's announcement that she's going to back the play looks like hell. And Paige says, yes, it's a real profile in courage, since she already knows no charges will be brought. She already knows no charges will be brought. So what do these guys know, these FBI agents? And remember, Strzok is on this investigation, so he already knows she's cleared. I mean, that's how blandly corrupt these guys are. Plus, there's other stuff. Now, I don't want to blow this out of proportion yet because we really don't know what it is. We remember that Paige especially hated Trump, and Strzok's comments about Trump got worse and worse as his affair with her deepened. And they had this one comment about where he said, we know that he's going to lose, but if he doesn't, we need an insurance policy. And people have been wondering, is this Russia investigation the insurance policy they cooked up? And now in these, there's another thing. And again, it's very hard to put this in context, so don't jump to conclusions. Don't think it's a conspiracy right away, where they talk about we're forming a secret society. And here's Trey Gowdy, the investigator, commenting on that.
Congressman Gowdy, do you want to expound on the secret society idea?
Sure, I wish I could. I wish I'd been the one who either sent that text or received it. You have this insurance policy in the spring of 2016, and then the day after the election, the day after what they really didn't want to have happen, there's a text exchange between these two FBI agents, these two supposed to be objective, fact-centric FBI agents saying, perhaps this is the first meeting of the secret society. So, of course, I'm going to want to know what secret society are you talking about, because you're supposed to be investigating objectively the person who just won the Electoral College. So, yeah, I'm going to want to know.
Okay, so there's stuff we don't know, and there's also stuff we don't know about FISA. I'll get to that in a minute. But now, the other thing that's going on is this stuff about FISA. And why this is important is FISA courts are supposed to be there. They're secret courts, but they're supposed to be there to protect you from the government spying on you. And we don't know what the House Intelligence Committee has come up with, but it sounds as if the FBI was misusing stuff like the Steele document, this opposition research, this kind of rumor-mongering, Russian, trolling. They were using this to get FISA warrants to spy on Donald Trump and his campaign. That's what it really seems like is going on. But we don't know this because a lot of the information that the House Intel Committee is getting is classified. So what the Republicans on the committee did was they put together a memo, and this you've been hearing about, and they're talking about, they're saying it's really bad. A memo details the FISA abuses, what they feel are the FISA abuses, and we don't know what's in it yet, but it sounds pretty bad. Here's Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida talking about having looked at this memo.
4 pages of a memorandum prepared by the Intelligence Committee that will shock the conscience of this country when it comes to the horrific abuses that occurred during the last administration and that I believe continue to pose a threat to Donald Trump's presidency. It is so important, Judge Jeanine, that we are fighting to get this memo released to all of the American people. I don't think the right answer is just to allow members of Congress to be horrified and outraged. All Americans need to see what was happening to undermine this president duly elected.
How do we release this information? When do I get to see it?
Well, at any moment in time, the intelligence chairman, who has done an excellent job, Devin Nunes, can schedule a vote in the Intelligence Committee. If the Intelligence Committee votes to declassify this information, and if President Trump doesn't overrule that, it will immediately become available to the American people.
So that's the idea of this memo. It is so you don't have to declassify all the information that came in, but you can declassify the memo itself and send it out. And what's really interesting is, who do you think? Obviously, the Democrats are standing in the way. Some of the Democrats haven't even gone in to look at the memo. They won't even read the memo. The Republicans are going in to read it, but the Democrats won't, in the House, but the Democrats won't even go in and look at it. It's in a secret room and all this stuff. So who do you think is leading the charge to keep the people from finding out what this information is? Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is a McCarthyite louse. He is Joe McCarthy. He really is bad. Before I play what he said about the memo, which is absurd, I just want to play a couple of cuts. These are a couple of cuts our guys laced together of him accusing Donald Trump, making these outlandish accusations against the president. And then when the interviewer says, well, where's your proof? He's, I can't tell you the proof. No, I can't tell you the proof. I can just make these charges. It is truly, remember Joe McCarthy, Senator Joe McCarthy used to say, I have in this envelope the names of several communists in the State Department, and nobody ever opened the envelope. That's what Adam Schiff does. He is a McCarthyite.
You know this, the Russians offered help, the campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning, whether it is proof beyond a reasonable doubt of conspiracy or not.
Do you know of any instance where the Russians said, we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it through WikiLeaks, we're going to do it through DC Leaks, this is how we're going to get this information out there?
I can't comment.
All you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. So, again, I think...
So you have seen direct evidence of collusion?
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial and is very much worthy of investigation.
He's a bad guy. I mean, that is a bad thing to do. I mean, you know, that is genuine McCarthyite tactics. So now they have this memo, and it says, I mean, you heard what the words Gates was using, horrific abuses of FISA, which means spying. You know, the IRS scandal where Obama shut down conservative activists during an election by using the IRS to not give them, tax-exempt status, I think was the biggest scandal of my lifetime, and I was alive during Watergate. Far, far bigger, far, far worse abuse. If this is true, if they were using FISA to spy on to use the FBI to spy on an opposition candidate, that is genuine tin pot republic behavior. That is genuinely bad stuff, and only the color of Obama's skin protects him from the charges of corruption, which should be really swept over him. So why doesn't Adam Schiff want you to hear it? Because you just aren't smart enough to handle what it has to say. Here's cut 5.
Why not allow people to look at it and let Americans make the decision for themselves about whether it's useful information or not?
Well, because the American people, unfortunately, don't have the underlying materials, and therefore they can't see how distorted and misleading this document is. The Republicans are not saying make the underlying materials available to the public. They just want to make the spin available to the public. And I think that spin, which is a fulsome attack on the FBI, is just designed to attack the FBI and Bob Mueller to circle the wagons for the White House. And that's a terrible disservice to the people, hardworking people at the Bureau. But more than that, it's a disservice to the country.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that's it. You're not good enough. You're not smart. You don't have the context to handle the truth. You know, the entire Obama administration was the avatar, the absolute triumph of the left's obsession with using identity to supersede ideas. And if we fall for that by being bigots, by being actual homophobes, by attacking people en masse for who they are, we have lost the way. Because what we want to do is we want to fight back with ideas, make them bring their ideas out into the open, and discuss only their ideas. Obama failed because he did not know what he was doing. He did not know how the world works. He's an incompetent and an arrogant guy, and he had to use his identity ultimately to cover that up.